When the world outside turns to chaos, we naturally turn to our fierce and fearless leaders for guidance. So we've assembled a queer council, the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars 5, who also happen to be EW's latest digital cover stars. Hello everyone, I'm Joey Nolfi with Entertainment Weekly, and today we're bringing you a special roundtable conversation from quarantine. Today we're covering their return to the workroom, the economy of Drag Race, how coronavirus has impacted drag, and we'll surely spill some good tea along the way. But first, let's introduce everybody. From Season 3 and All-Stars 1, she does not appear to have a freaking chorizo for this call, Alexis Mateo.
You never know, I might have it somewhere.
From Season 10 and also a superb recording artist, Blair St. Clair.
I do declare, hi.
Season 8 Stonewall historian, Derek Barry. For the love of God, please don't pick her up, Season 3's India Farah.
Okay, hi everyone.
Inventor of the song Black Velvet from Season 2 and All-Stars 1, Juju B.
Hi!
Season 3 super diva, Mariah Balenciaga.
Hey, snatching trophies and getting grand prize.
Only eyes like hers can make a meme go viral, Season 10's Mayhem Miller.
Hey, y'all.
Yes.
Now this next one, she's a woman, Season 10's Miss Cracker.
Ooh, she's a woman! How you doing today, everybody?
The OG from Season 1, Angina.
There was no traffic today.
And finally, we got so emotional thinking about her Season 9 elimination, Shea Coulee.
I didn't come to play, I came to lay.
No one is sleeping on that talent right there. It's funny because preparing for this conversation, I kept thinking, you know, if you're not Bibi Zahara Benet, who won Season 1 before doing All-Stars, is it weird that you're here because the prerequisite for All-Stars is that you broke RuPaul's cardinal rule and you it up?
Yeah, we all up some days, you know, and sometimes those are the days that get you sent home.
The gag is, even the person who won their respective season even up from time to time. There can only be one winner. So the fact that our collective up didn't get us the crown.
I mean, you guys, you are all here because you do represent pure excellence. So how do you think All-Stars 5 and its cast serve as a good representation of where the mainstream drag industry stands right now?
Because as you can see, it's such a diverse cast. And our interpretations of drag are so diverse. As you can see, Shea Coulee is wearing a full avocado mask today. Yes. That's her foundation.
And I think you can kind of see that from me being a Season 1 queen, where we filmed our season in the garage of someone's house.
Is that true? The spilling tea.
Angina, we were looking for mother-daughter, and you gave us father-daughter. It's almost as if you misunderstood this challenge.
I have been asked if it was filmed in a garage, in the basement of WOW, in a tiny little studio off the street on Santa Monica and Highlands. Like, we had a studio. It was just an eighth of the size of the studio we saw in All-Stars 5. So, okay.
Does everyone feel like the first time around, do you all feel like you were maybe unjustly eliminated, or have you made peace with it?
No,
Yep.
I actually think that it was my time to go when I went. Looking back, when I entered the competition, when I was on Season 10, my season, I thought, like, I walked in, I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. Like, I am the one. And then I looked around the room, day one, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not the one. And I used that time, and I honestly like used that time to soak it all in of all the different dragos around me. And I honestly thought, I'm going to work the hardest I can here, but if it's not my time, I'm going to make sure it's my time again in the future.
Absolutely. I feel the same way, because going through all of that with the pickup from Mimi and then going to the next challenge, I just knew I wasn't personally ready. And it was my time to go. So, and I made peace with that. And now I'm so excited to be back. Incredible.
Somebody said All-Stars 5?
Back, my girl. 10 fierce queens are back for their redemption.
I'm here to slay and fillet and slice and dice these bitches.
Shay, can I ask you, because since the season 9 finale, I feel like there has been a very vocal hunger in the fandom to get you on All Stars. So I'm wondering how a reputation or fan expectations come into play in terms of how it affects you and your mental state competing the second time. And that anybody can feel free to answer that as well.
I think honestly, like the best thing to do in that situation is I feel like when you go back to All Stars, it's really about opening up a new chapter, and like you want to try and like leave what the fans think out of it, because like I feel like for all of us, All Stars is like a really personal journey, and in so many ways we are competing with our own selves and our own like inner saboteurs and trying to prove to ourselves that I may have tripped up the first time, but I learned my lesson and I'm back to show myself that I can do this. And it's like, I feel like as far as the fans are concerned and like their expectations, like, you know, it's like, it's a personal journey and you gotta really focus on yourself.
I agree completely. I feel like this time it was a personal goal and it was our personal dream and journey to do that. And instead of doing it for someone else, like my drag family or like my friends at that time, like I did it for me now. So that I agree completely.
We also go to All Stars and literally we have grown so much since our season that we're showing a totally different phase of our career. We're more professional, we're more polished, we're more comfortable with our own skin, and I think it's just a big old celebration of who we are as an entertainer.
I think like my specific story is almost the exact opposite. I was eliminated early to middle in the season of my season of Drag Race. And then since my season to now, I've evolved so much as a person, my drag, I've become a full-blown woman. And, so like, I honestly went in thinking like, I don't care what anyone has to think about me, because like I finally truly found what it is that I like about my drag, what it is about that I like about myself, and I just want to have a lot of fun. Whether that means I go to the very end, whether that means, you know, I get the crown or I go home first, like I really just want to have so much fun. And if I have fun, I'm not going to be mad about what happens. But if I don't have fun, then I'm going to be mad about whatever the outcome may be.
Right.
I think Derek, did you want to add something there? I think you...
Yeah, I was just saying that for my whole career before Drag Race, I had worked with impersonators, and so picking up makeup tips from impersonators is very different from picking up tips from drag queens. And so going there and then realizing that there's so much more I could play with and I don't have to stick to one look, then that's even more reason why I went back for All Stars. Because of that 4 years, I learned so much on the road from other queens and not being with impersonators nightly, being with drag queens.
Well, how does this all change the actual competitive dynamic? How is it different on All Stars when you're all these personal brands competing against each other instead of a queen who might be, you know, towards the beginning of her career on the first season?
It incorporates a certain level of respect, mutual respect, because we've seen each other, we've worked with each other, we know what our vibe is, we know our different talent levels and different skill sets and what we bring to the table, and we've learned to grow to respect what each other has to offer and bring to the table, as opposed to walking into a room full of strangers and then one person doesn't look like they can barely put on a lash versus a girl that's been doing it for 25 years. So it's like, of course, the girl who's been doing it for 25 years is going to look at the six-month-old baby queen with a little disdain for having the same opportunity. But going to All Stars, I think that it's a level playing field of at least a mutual respect for what each queen has to offer and bring to the table.
And this might be the first time I've seen old school versus new school drag. And it's kind of funny because it's only saying old school versus new school based on the season you were on. Because a lot of us, besides Blair, everyone here has been working for 10 to 15 years. So she's really like new drag. But just because we were on Drag Race, you know, season 1 versus season 11, it doesn't mean that it's really new versus old. Blair is new drag. All the rest of us, we're old bitches. You know, we've been doing this a long time.
First day entrance look, I was going for resort 50s, fresh out of the Bahamas, feeling rejuvenated, refreshed, and ready to compete.
Today, I wanted to give you a little bit of the 90s supermodel vibes and show that, you know, I am a supermodel, and I've changed a lot since I was on season 10.
The elimination order of any of the seasons had nothing to do with the outcome of your career on Drag Race. Because some of these girls that I know and I really admire are here in my season with me, and they went home early, you know, and everybody knows them. Everybody said, oh, Blair is new, but Blair has an amazing success, and you know, and Ongina, it was in season 1, but we all remember Ongina. We know she's a legend, you know, so it doesn't really matter when you go home. It's about,
and I think your daughter,
you
Miss Vanjie, is a perfect example of that too.
Right.
Because she, I mean, went home first, but of all the girls to ever go home first on their first season, she eclipsed more than half of the girls on her season. Like, you know, it's about being memorable.
You can't be lifting up drag queens.
I was honestly scared, and all I could do was scream.
Get her off of me!
Well, so speaking of memorable moments from first seasons, did anybody try to pick up India this time? I have to know.
I did.
Did Blair? Were you successful?
No, I wasn't successful.
I picked her up in the hotel when we went part. I did.
Oh, that's some tea there.
We were all really horny, weren't we? We were like,
no, you were very horny, girl.
You were very horny, Juju.
Ongina, what did you want to say? Ongina, what did you want to add?
Based off of what Alexis was saying, I think a lot of what happens to the people on Drag Race that are not maybe on the forefront of every show, every tour, every social media aspect, I think it's because the fans also create like this atmosphere that if they haven't seen my season or this queen or that go on this tour or etc., there's like sort of like a forgotten essence in that person. Like I'm new to Twitch. I'm now streaming on Twitch with my husband and under Nazi and Ongina. But I had invited people to come, and then there's a lot of drag on there. Literally, I'm getting comments like, "Who are you? What kind of drag are you? Wait, were you on Drag Race? What season?" Because my season was forgotten, and that's one of the things why I was like, I'm so ready for All Stars, because I want them to know that season 1 queens are amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You ain't got to worry about that June 5th, baby. They will know your name then.
Ongina, you're the reason I auditioned for Drag Race.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're trailblazer. You guys were trailblazers.
This season of All Stars 5, and I'm rooting for that crown for my Puerto Ricos, of course, duh.
Honestly, it's kind of a riff off of my first outfit on All Stars. I looked like I worked at the mall then, and I feel like I own the mall now.
India, after the show, you did stir the pot a little bit with some online posts after your season. And on the first episode, you obviously are clashing with Derek. So will people see, do you think, a softer version of you as the season progresses that contrasts what some people might expect?
Absolutely. I think I have grown so much, and I've worked so hard to like rebuild my reputation. And moving to Las Vegas actually saved my career. And being able to work at a nightclub 4 nights a week and doing drag brunches 8 shows a week, like I've been able to get my name out there and, you know, become more humble and become more understandable that not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like every single girl on this season, but that's like the blessing of it, because we all have our own style of drag. We all represent our own artistry. And that's so exciting that this group of girls gets to showcase this. And I'm so blessed to be a part of it.
Does anyone else named Derek Barry want to comment on how India came off on the rest of the season?
When you have a relationship with someone outside of the show and then, you know, it kind of goes south, and then walking in to All Stars, I was definitely surprised to see India there, and only because of her past. And, you know, speaking out against a show that maybe didn't highlight her in the best way, or, you know, because of what happened with Mimi. And honestly, I don't like to be associated with Mimi, so I completely understand India's whole thing with that. And that's the group consensus. There's a lot of girls that people do not want to work with, but they will be professional. And even though I was caught off guard, I was happy to see her there if she was going to be a different person and change for positive reasons.
Right. I don't think anyone truly understands like what happened on season 3 with the pickup. And every show that I went to, it was constantly, what did you think when Mimi picked you up? Like, do you hate her? Do you still talk to her? It was always Mimi on first. It was never about like what I was bringing to the show. And that can f with you mentally, mostly when you put so much work into your art. So that was really hard for me to like cope with over the years. And luckily, All Stars 5 gave me my redemption, and I can show my growth and show India 2.0.
I really wanted something dramatic, kind of like Lady Gaga's entrance, big shoulders, big train, so I was kind of inspired by that. But this color really drew to my eye. It's so unique, it's so different, and I didn't want to walk in with some wearing the same thing that I was.
I don't know much about clothes, but my hair looks fierce because I made it for the workroom today. I wanted to show people that I could do stuff, and I can.
Blair, what were you going to add something to that?
Yeah, I was going to add to what like Derek was saying about knowing someone and having a past with them before entering the competition. One of the main differences about All-Stars versus regular seasons is that when you enter the workroom on a regular season, you might know of or possibly know someone that's on the season before you actually start when you walk into that workroom. But when you walk into the workroom on day one of All-Stars, you know every single girl that's in that room. Whether you know them personally, you at least know of them. And that's a completely different dynamic. And that's why I think All-Stars is a completely different dynamic of a show, because we do all have backgrounds, we do have stories, we do have interactions before coming in, unlike normal seasons.
Mm-hmm. There's real drama that follows you. Instead of drama created from the show and being competitive, there's real drama that goes into All-Stars, because look at in past seasons with Farrah and Gia and, you know, stories like that, because that had gone south at some nightclub across the country or wherever, and it affected relationships. And I think that going into All-Stars, you have to completely, you know, deal with that. It's head on. Whether you wanted that person there or not, you're going to face it.
If I want to do ratchet drag next week, can you give me any tips?
If you want to do like memorable drag next week, I can give you some tips.
And you have to think about that, like on the season, you're like, is this moment worth it? When I get off of filming, however long this journey may take, when I go home and am I going to bring this drama home with me that's going to last a lifetime or hurt a friendship or not hurt a friendship, or is this a great moment to blow up out of proportion because the cameras are all on me? You know, you have to like think of that in that regard about your career.
You've learned, like Blair says, that things follow you forever. So you think more carefully about your decisions and how you want to be, how you want to present yourself. But then also you learn that every single girl is in there because she has a superpower. Like on my first season, on season 10, I thought I could look at a girl and be like, and judge the book by its cover. But I quickly learned that every girl has a superpower that may not be visible right away. So you kind of leave that whole judgment attitude behind in your first season, or your first two, Juju. And you come expecting literally anything from any girl. And so, yeah, you carry some stuff over, some drama from your personal life, but you learn that every season is a clean slate in a way, or it can be if you play it that way.
We need names, Cracker. We need names.
I'll let Derek ask that, yeah.
The pressure of a name.
And I think one thing too that makes the dynamic, at least for me, like I love coming into an environment of people that I really respect and look up to, and having the ability to like steal and cherry pick skills from them, because I watch people in the workroom. Because like drag is one of those things that you learn from seeing other people do it. And that's what I actually get most excited about with like working with other queens, because I'm just like, I'm about to get a free lesson on how to step up my drag. And like, I mean, money can't buy those types of lessons. And I've learned something from every single girl on this cast. And I feel like being a part of this only helps you to become a better queen.
Though this breaks my heart to say, sashay away.
Angina, I want to go back to you for a second, because like you were saying, this is the first time in the workroom in 11 years. So can you speak to what are the biggest changes in terms of the standards, or what's expected of a Drag Race competitor now on All Stars 5 versus what the standard might have been back in 2009?
In my season, we were given a 1-page sheet of expectations, and half of that was 15 looks that we had to bring. And it was very vague. It was bring a cowboy outfit, bring a yellow dress, bring something sequins. And it was very, very like not specific. Now in All Stars, we had a 32-page letter with what? How many girls? Like 21 different looks that you had to bring, considering you had to bring 3 of your Snatch games, you had to maybe an option for your finale, you had to bring a dance outfit, and then on top of that, like the runways that we had to do. Which, by the way, I literally think I spent like $100 in season 1, and I spent like X amount, I'm not gonna tell you, X amount on All Stars 5, but that's the expectation, right? The expectation is for me to show my growth, not with how much I can buy to showcase like my talent, but really what I have learned from season 1 all the way up till now. Like Shay was saying, you learn so much from your surroundings, and like I'm like a living I'm walking example of that, because like I wouldn't know how to do my makeup if Chanel hadn't been like, can I please do your face this episode? So there's so much that I learned, and then along the way, you know, performing locally, traveling, there's so much talent, and there's so much like people, like drag queens out there. They really are, they're offering you advice, and it's up to you. Are you gonna take that for your to be better, or are you gonna be like, oh, I'm too good, like I'm not, you know what I mean? So what I did was took the learning, and then hopefully I've showcased that here on All Stars. So the look is inspired by a national Filipino costume, and it's a modern take on it. It is worn by our superhero, who is amazing, and she is Darna.
I chose the Satisfaction into Oops for my entrance because oops, I did it again. Like, I'm here, I'm coming back, I'm competing again.
So does it feel like to you guys like this is a sort of self-contained economy in a way?
There was no economy of Drag Race when we first started. When Angina came, there was no management, there was no talent agencies, there was no representation. I know Alexis, myself, and Yada got took for so many deposits.
I did too, yes.
Who were pretending to be agents or management, or they might have represented a couple of girls in the pageant circuit. And at the time, the pageant girls were top tier in the pay scale. They were top of the pyramid. We have to entertain, do our own hair, our own makeup, and we were begging for the small ration that we were getting. Drag Race has given a legitimacy to the business of drag.
Yes.
Yeah. Mariah, I completely agree. And I do want to add, though, that there is like also an opportunity. Drag Race has created now over 10 plus years, an economy so that girls that are not part of the Drag Race family have more visibility because people are more interested in drag.
Maybe just a few years ago, or even now, still today, you say, if someone asks you your occupation, you say that I'm a drag queen, they may think that it's a cheap profession.
Crazy.
They say, but what do you really do?
Exactly. They're like,
what do you really do?
What did you go to school for? Or exactly.
Yeah.
And I think Drag Race has been able to like enlighten us to show that we are artists, and it's brought us together as a community too.
For me, it has been a little different because I experienced what they call the new switch of the generation of Instagram. Okay, so when I was in the season 3 with India and Mariah, we didn't have Instagram. So I kind of faced in the last 5 years a impact on you are worth as your followers. Does that make sense? So I don't consider that fair at all. Let's just put it that way.
No, but it's absolutely not.
At this point, I just want to go and do my best in front of the camera.
I think coronavirus, it has devastated so many industries, including the business of this show. So though the industry is suffering, do you sort of feel a vitality in drag right now, seeing all of the innovation that's happening online?
We just had to make a shift and get around this learning curve. But when it comes to like the content, the at-home content that we're seeing from creatives, drag queens are at the top of that totem pole because we're setting the bar so high because we already know how to produce on a dime.
I've seen a lot of drag artists produce shows, like I said, on Twitch and on Instagram and Facebook and Zoom. And I have realized I need a fan, I need a fog machine, I need a snow machine, because they have become, Shay has it all. But it has become a full-on production. I am now a producer, an editor, a creative director because that's the new normal for what we're putting out as entertainment.
So do you think that this has sort of set up for a foundation even after when this is over, that this has given you that?
Absolutely. I think the problem is going to arise when you have people who only know how to create online content, and then they're transported into the world of having to actually perform, interact with people, instead of sitting in their living room or their bedroom and create talent. But are you able to translate that talent in front of an audience, a live audience?
Do you guys have certain fears, I guess, for the long-term effects of this pandemic on the drag industry? Like, what are you fearful of?
I know that all of us do shows and we do these things where we meet people, and I hug everybody I meet. I don't know if I could process doing that because emotionally I want to, but because of this entire thing, I kind of feel like we need to kind of stay away from each other. Like, how do we do this? I don't know how to do this.
Right, I agree, Juju. I went from doing about 8 shows a weekend at Drag Brunch for anywhere from 200 to 300 people, and we would hug and we would meet and greet after the show, and going back to that, it's just so confusing to try to get back to that normal. And
I think naturally
we're not
this
going
is like
normal.
queer people, like we tend to be affectionate. Especially when we're in safe spaces, because we're not always allowed to be so overtly affectionate. And I think like it's going to be such a shift for us to have to like maintain distance and not have that like really genuine physical connection that we create just through hugs and handshakes.
It's like our queer family thing. It's like that's what we do.
Yeah.
We embrace each other.
Well, I'll ask Mayhem to answer this next one. She's been real quiet over there. Where do you
I want to
see?
say something, but you keep talking. I'm like, all right.
I want to know where you think the drag industry can go after this. Where do you think we'll see the industry evolving as this industry and the world try to recover from this?
Well, first off, I always known, and I think everyone can agree to this, that our community has always been resilient. In all adversity that we've ever faced, we've always been able to come together and unite and rise and thrive to the occasion. So I know in my heart of hearts, once this is over, everyone is going to get back to work, and it's going to be just as fierce, if not even better, because everyone, I think, now has had time to really reevaluate what's important. And I think community has been really missed in this whole situation. So I really feel that everyone is going to come together as community and know that we're going to have to get back to work. We're going to have to get back to supporting each other. We're going to have to get back to going to our bars, our clubs, and making sure that we're all taken care of.
This time, they're playing a brand new game.
All-star rules have been suspended.
I'm sorry, what in the what?
They'll lip sync for their legacy against a lip sync assassin. A different superstar queen every week.
Reveal yourself!
What did you guys think when you first heard what the twist would be, and how did the twist impact the way you guys approached the competition?
Isn't that right there? That's how we reacted.
Right there, the gag. Look at every one of our faces.
I was in the corner going, oh my God, Mariah, what's happening? Mariah.
I think they had to honestly explain it to us like 4 different times. Like we literally
first to comprehend it. Yeah.
We're like,
I got it.
I honestly don't think I don't know what it is still. I'm just like, wait, what was the twist?
Can we just make a face? Because this was it. It was like.
Well, do you think though, so after you processed and comprehended, well, maybe not in Mayhem's case, what exactly it is, do you think giving a sort of more democratic edge to the competition makes it fairer, or did it make it more difficult for you guys to navigate your way through this competition?
I think that it, like, helps you think clearly because there's less pressure. You're putting your voice out with everyone else's instead of it just being on you. And you're like, okay, so I can kind of take the temperature of the room, think about what's best, blah, blah, blah. You're not like, oh, it's all on me. If you get to be on the Democratic side of things, you're like, what's fair? And there's less of the, because I think when all the pressure is on you, it can drive you crazy.
Well, sometimes when you're taking the temperature, it literally is your thumb in someone's ass. So
I think it also is like such a great message, the twist. For now, having been through the twist, now looking back and we all laugh about it and like think about it. I think it's just such a great message to people today, politically, and without giving too much away, and also that reminding people that your voice matters and how you use it, and like how that can definitely change the dynamic of the competition.
Yeah, I'm a big politics fan. So having a bit of a political edge that kind of shows a sense of democracy, I thought was really, really fun, because I just find politics really, really interesting, because it's really about A, standing for something, and B, getting people to rally behind you and support what you stand for too. And I think as a competition, we're coming in here all standing firmly for ourselves, but in the spirit of democracy, there's this way in which we also have to stand for each other. And I think that that's what helped us to like unite really closely as sisters, because you got to see ways in which other people had your back, and feeling like a sense of support from your competitors, I feel like only enriched the process more and allowed us to really go in there and like stand firm in what we believed in as creatives and as drag queens.
You called her a pig in a wig.
There is beef and everyone is eating it. However, I will say though that the difference between this democracy and American democracy is there is more concern about what happens in that voting booth, because the truth will out at some point. Always, you could privately vote in the America and such as, and tell other people. But on Drag Race, the truth will out, and the truth will not always set you free. It will sometimes send your ass home. So it is a much scarier democracy on Drag Race.
Okay. Well, I think Drag Race also, Shay, what you just said, it reminded me that about having people there to support you and stuff. Drag Race does fit into TV history in a very unique way, especially with regard to the notion of family on television. The nuclear family has been the centerpiece of TV for decades, like from sitcoms to dramas all the way through today. Do you feel like chosen family, even though you're still competing against each other?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Completely.
Absolutely.
I feel just, not even because it's a show, but just drag in general has always been family based. We always, that's how House is built, because we needed families. We needed to feel a part of something. And, especially with this group of girls, I think a lot of us, share so much in common, and we have all been through adversity. We all been through struggles. We all have our stories, and some of them intersect with each other. And no matter what, we are all family, and we're joined by this bond that going through a reality television show once, twice, sometimes 3 times really pitch you through the ringer. So we all connect and bond in a special way. So we will always be family, always be sisters, no matter what.
I think something different for drag queens is that we don't go to college and major in drag. So yes, you can go to school and major in theater. Yes, you can go major in music. But most other professions, if you want to be on SNL, you go through Groundlings or Second City. You don't just pop up on SNL and there you are. And drag can. Anyone right now can be creating their drag career, and they can come out of quarantine the most famous drag pop star, because it's that easy to create your own kind of persona. So
I won't say easy, it's possible.
Well, but I mean, we have to rely on ourselves.
Like you said, we're self-taught. We learn from each other. We have drag families that we're a part of. So we're learning from each other, but we didn't major in this. Nobody taught us how to do anything in school when it comes to a drag and branding yourself, making yourself a known figure, whether it's through Drag Race or something else?
I just think also in terms of just family, and like chosen family. I auditioned for Drag Race before I got on 5 times. And I remember in my application, they said, what excites you the most? One of the questions they asked is, what excites you the most about being on RuPaul's Drag Race? And, I'm trying not to get choked up, but it came from such a pure part from the little boy inside of me. And I remember writing on that line, I just want to belong to this family. Because all I ever wanted as a little kid was to feel like I belonged somewhere. And I feel like that's what chosen families provide for so many people that don't get that. And I remember just being like, I just want to be part of this family. And I feel so blessed and fortunate that I get to share this experience with people that I respect and I look up to, and that continue to inspire me. It's a lovely feeling to be sitting here on this panel with these people, knowing that I have love and respect for every single one of them.
Well, I think that is a gorgeous note to end on. Thank you for allowing me to be just a little part of your family today. I really, really appreciated talking to you guys so much, and I cannot wait to see what you guys do on All Stars 5.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.